Hey, what's up everyone? This is Nick and today we're doing another action figure review. This is the San Diego Comic-Con 2019 NECA Toys exclusive. So this is Terminator 2 Judgment Day Ultimate figure. This is John Connor with his motorcycle. There is not anything on this packaging that seems to indicate this is a exclusive, which is weird. I thought there had to be something on it if it was going to be an SDCC exclusive. The packaging is consistent with the other Ultimate T2 figures we've gotten. Velcro window packaging with this border that shows the future war with Skynet. Then we have a gallery image of John Connor, images from the film on the front, just like they did with Sarah, the T800 and the T1000, both versions of the T1000. And then we have our gallery images on the side. I really like the blue and the overall simplistic look of the packaging. It's very 90s, very cool. So on the back we have a summary of the premise, just in case you don't know the premise for the Terminator films. In case you're the one person on the planet that isn't aware of that. Now, this is the only SDCC exclusive I got. The other stuff, the turtles and all that, doesn't really interest me. And usually I pass on the NECA exclusives because they're usually just repaints or retools. The only other one that I broke down on, and I think I paid someone on eBay to get it for me, was Newt. Because even though I suspected she was going to be released in some other format, I didn't want to take the chance. Again, you know, it was the only Newt figure we had gotten in so long, and they did re-release her, but it was in the 2-pack with Ripley, and I got that version too. But I'm really glad that we got her, and I felt like I was falling into the same thing with this one, because I'm like, they're probably going to release a cheaper retail version of this guy, because just like with Newt, it's a likeness that, you know, they had to pay money for. They had to do a brand new sculpt. Why limit it to just those that attended the con and the few people that were able to order one online? I did not attend the con. Thankfully, when I was at work, my mother and brother were watching this very closely online, and my brother was able to order one for me. And I was watching too when I was at work, but I wasn't fast enough, so I'm glad they were able to help me out. But yeah, this is definitely really cool to have, and I got it just like I did with the Newt, because it's a character that's necessary for the story. It's amazing we haven't gotten one at this point, and I just didn't want to take the chance that something could happen and we aren't going to get another one. And at the very least, I feel like if there is another one planned, it's probably going to be a while until we see it. So what they could do for that other one is probably just release the figure. I feel like they'll still include the motorcycle, because obviously a whole lot of work went into this. And they'll probably exclude the little accessories that we have here, like the arm from the first Terminator, the Easy Money accessory, maybe even this bonus head, which I don't remember him having a headband on in the film, even in the special edition. I believe this is from the Battle Across Time 3D special. Let me know in the comments below. I'm a pretty big T2 fan, and I don't remember that, but I don't think I've ever watched the Battle Across Time like from beginning to end, but I'm sure it's on YouTube. Some other things that they could do to release this figure on its own later on, maybe do a Kenner inspired version, because there was a Kenner figure where they had him paired up with the motorcycle. I don't know if the cycle was colored like this. I don't think the John Connor was colored accurately, so they could do a Kenner style version of it, and in Kenner packaging, like they've done with most of their T800s and T1000s. But yeah, I mean, they could probably also, if the rumors are true, give us a retooled version of this for Terminator Dark Fate, because we saw they're doing a Sarah Connor, they're doing a T800, they might do a John Connor too. if the rumors are true and they do show us like a de-aged Edward Furlong. So on to the figure itself. I went ahead and opened this because all my other Terminator figures are open, and this is that cool kind of packaging where you could just slip them back in there if you wanted to. So first of all, the first thing I noticed with this is the incredible face sculpt. I mean, at first glance, it's definitely recognizable as him. And it's really nicely painted. They did a good job painting like his lips, and you can even get the impression of his teeth in there, in the mouth. It's very subtle. It's very clean overall. The only thing I don't like is they kind of painted his nostrils, and it could have been disastrous. You know, it's not, but it's borderline. Like they're just a little too dark, and they didn't do that with the other Terminator figures. What's weird about the Terminator line is they paint the skin tone on, and they don't cast the plastic in that semi-translucent flesh tone plastic like they did with the Aliens figures. I know they do this so that they're consistent with the previously released Terminator figures, but I don't know, I still kind of wish that the Ultimates had that semi-translucent plastic at least, and then they could go back and re-release them, because they did that with the Aliens figures. The Hicks and Hudson figures had painted skin tones, and then when we got into the more recent figures, they were doing the translucent skin tones maybe starting 3 or 4 years ago, and then they re-released Hicks and Hudson with that translucent, semi-translucent skin tone plastic instead of the painted skin applications. So I kind of wish they had started doing that with the Terminator figures, especially since they were re-released so many times. There was a chance to kind of restart that. So I think he would have looked a little bit better in that flesh tone plastic. I think this face that he already has on looks better than this one. This one, there's a little bit of slop on it, and that could just be the luck of the draw, but this one's a little cleaner to me. It's the one I'm going to use anyway, because again, I like T2. I'm not a battle across time guy. I'm pretty sure that's what this is from. But anyway, this is how he looks throughout most of the film. His backpack is actually really cool. It's sculpted separately. I don't know if you could take it off. I guess you could if you really want to mess with it. The straps are very thin though, so I don't want to risk breaking them. But I like how they have like the extendable part of the strap, so he could extend his bag if he wanted to. You can't do that with the figure, but it's just a nice little bit of realism there. I figured they would just do like the loop there. But nice job with all the zippers and everything. Really realistic sculpt on the clothing. I like how they have the jacket kind of bent there. Great coloring on it as well. Really good job on the pants. They even have the little tear there. You can see his knee through there. Good job on his shoes. Really nicely sculpted. They even did like a little bit of his socks peeking out from the back. Really just impressive stuff. But yeah, I like the expression they have on him too. It's not too dramatic, but it's not boring either. He's got some personality in the sculpt. As far as articulation goes, it's a really good range of articulation. Now, he was very stiff, so what I did was I let him sit in a car for a little bit in the heat, because it's summer, just for like 3 hours. And then now he's loosened up. He's not too loose, but he's enough that I'm not worried about anything breaking. So you can swivel the head side to side, forward, back, typical ball joint. You have the shoulders that pivot up, they go forward, back. You have a double joint, but you can get the full 90 at the elbow. And then you have the swivel at the wrist. They pivot in and out. They're very tiny wrists though, so I don't want to risk busting them. They even painted his fingernails, which is really cool. Another thing that could have been disastrous, but came out pretty nicely. So they did a lot of bold things here, painting the nostrils, painting the inside of the mouth, painting the fingernails, and it came out really nice. I'm curious if it comes out on most of them that nice. I know all of them are probably going to have well, I know not all of them are going to look as clean as this one, but it looks pretty darn good. So we have a really good amount of torso or abdominal articulation. So we have one of these joints in there, and it's really well concealed by his jacket. So you can bend him forward quite a bit. So you have your typical rocker in there, but you have that kind of hinged torso joint, and that's for when he's riding his bike. And then you have legs that go forward, back, at the hips, spread. They can go in. He does the full 90 at the knee, and you have the rocker at the ankle. The design of his shoe, though, kind of hinders that from having a high range of mobility, though. So I'm going to show you him getting on the bike, which first I want to say the bike, I'm really impressed with the size of it and the amount of detail. There's just so many small little individual pieces that have been assembled on this thing. Obviously the wheels work. I just expected this to just be like, I don't know, a cheap solid piece of plastic. I guess I didn't look very closely at the pictures they had for it. I was more interested in the actual character, but this is an incredible accessory. It's very large, as you can see. I really like all the wiring and just all the little mechanical details in it. And I didn't expect them to include this translucent stand, which is cool. I thought that they were just going to have the kickstand come down. I do not think the kickstand does come down, but that's cool because most people are going to pose him like he's riding, and they're not going to want to have the kickstand down just to have it stand up. I didn't think we'd get a stand or the kickstand option. I thought I was just going to have to prop this up against something. In fact, before this came in the mail, I was looking at my shelf like, who am I going to prop this up against? Am I going to prop him up against Ed 209, or what am I going to do here? But this stand is actually a little warped, so I think that's just a slight defect, but I kind of like that because it makes the bike tilt a little bit and it adds a sense of realism. So he can fit on the bike really nicely. Now the pedals here I feel like are very, very small and potentially could be brittle and break easily. So I'm going to be careful not to place his feet right on them. But again, you can get him in a really good pose on the bike. However, his hands are very, very tight. So they're kind of like this, and they should be more like this. So you could get him to grip this firmly, but not with too much difficulty. So you're gonna have to slip the handles into his hands, and you're really gonna have to bend back the thumb to do that. And it's just so small, I'm worried it's gonna snap. So, you know, if you want to pose him on the bike, I might even just have him pose like he's like just casual, like he's stopped the bike and he's just kind of sitting there waiting for, waiting to take off, or he's waiting to catch up with someone, kind of like this. Or I might just have him pose beside the bike, and kind of, there's no stand for him, but I think a regular NECA stand would work. He has peg holes at the bottom of his feet, unlike Newt, which Newt does not have any peg holes. So I'm glad that here we have another NECA child figure, but they gave us the peg holes at least this time. The Newt figure is hard to stand, and it's hard to find any kind of stander that will work with her, especially since she's so small and she doesn't have the peg holes. But this might work for me. That's cool. I might just have him like that. But yeah, I mean, I might be a little bit more bold and play around with the wrists or the hands later, but I just don't want to bust anything. So maybe if they do a regular retail release, he'll have a set of hands that have a wider grip so he can hold on to this more easily. But it is really cool nonetheless. I don't think that detracts from the figure, in my opinion. So onto the accessories. We have the Terminator arm inside this tube, which they showed on their Twitter page like 2 years ago, maybe even longer ago, kind of like what they did with that Alien 3 creature pack. They teased this forever ago, and so a lot of people presumed that we were getting a John Connor figure solely because of this. So I'm pretty sure this is not a uniquely sculpted piece other than the tube. I think the hand in here, though, is just taken from one of their T800 figures, but it is cool nonetheless. And I think the fingers are posed properly. Yeah, I think that's how it looked in the scene. So really nice. And then this accessory here, it would be a shame if, when they hopefully do a retail release on this guy, if they don't include this, because this is really intricate. So this does not open and close, but it's still a nice little keypad accessory. You got all these little wires in like this little like USB plug type thing, and then you have the actual fake credit card, and they have like that little gold plating on it. They have like the little credit card swiper on there. It's just really interesting. Really, really cool. Definitely a lot of effort went into, I feel like this one was probably easy, but I feel like a lot of effort went into this accessory. So I'm hoping that people that get the retail version will at least get this. I think, well, this is pretty important in the movie, so this would definitely be cool to get as well. But I think as long as you get John Connor and the bike, hopefully in a future release, you could live without the other accessories. So they haven't announced anything yet. Fingers crossed that they do. I don't think I would get another version of it, just because I feel like there isn't really anything they could add to it to make this any better, but we'll see. So if you haven't already, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys around. Bye.